Before you submit your press release and accidentally waste the majority of the effort you just put into it, you need to know when and how to use the checkboxes beside this video. Don't just go ahead and select them without knowing what they do, because they can create the opposite of a desired effect. So click on the Save as Draft button and watch this short tutorial. This will be the best 5 minutes you will spend today. Alright, so what do these options actually do? Well, the first one features your press release throughout the Newswire site. Your press release will be on the home page right above the fold, which guarantees your press release will be read many times more than normally. Now, I'll show you when to use this option in a minute. But if you tick the second box, our news team will do a video report on your story, and it will be displayed on the home page just as well. And just like the first option, there are times when you don't want to use this. Now, I'll talk about that in the video below this one. The third option is the financial checkbox. That one gets your press release submitted to the Yahoo Finance, Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, and dozens of other financial websites. This allows you to catch the attention of stockholders or to post as seen on your website and display the logos of major publications, essentially for instant credibility. I will have the full details in the third video on this page about that specific function. So let's talk about the first option and when you want to use this. With the featured article option, your press release will be placed as suggested reading on the Newswire homepage, right above the fold, as well as throughout the site. So whether the Newswire visitor lands on a homepage, or more commonly somebody else's story, perhaps because they followed a link on another website or found it on Google, it's much harder for them to leave without seeing your story. And just to show you how much harder, when this press release was featured, after its initial release, it jumped to 13,000 views in just one day. Now, we wanted to test out the power of featured story on its own merits, to isolate the surge a news story normally gets. So we waited until the views dropped and we featured it again. Once again, the number of views went up. We did the same thing the third time, just to be sure, and again the number of users that read the story skyrocketed. Now, in this specific case, the bump was over 8,000% increase in traffic. Don't you just hate it when that happens? I was actually afraid to show this because it just sounds too good to be true, right? Well, I'm not sure about you, but I hate it when I see somebody flash their best data and leave out the averages. So we got into our database to pull the stats, and here are the numbers. Since we started featuring releases last month, featured articles averaged about 13,000 views per release. That's everything from stellar to run-of-the-mill content. And when we compare that to regular releases published over the same period, featured ones got over 12 times more views. Now, I'm not saying you will get 12 times the boost, that's just the average. But here's when you do and you don't want to use this feature to boost your release. Now, if you have a great image, something that arouses curiosity, you definitely want to get this option. Now, we found through testing that it's the images that most affect the featured article views. If you don't have a great image, you can do one of two things. You can A, uncheck this option, or you can get a better image. Now, I think that not getting a better image, which literally takes a minute, would mean that the time you already spent creating your press release was largely wasted. So here is how you can do that right now while this window is still open. In a separate tab, go to search.creativecommons.org and type your search. Now, you can pause this video if you want to follow along. Now, click on any of the sites that serve images. This will search for images that can be used royalty-free with or without attribution. Now, I suggest an image that is at least 500 pixels along its shortest side. The bigger, the better. I also suggest always crediting the author. This will avoid any unpleasant situations where we have to take the image down because the owner of the image accidentally picked the wrong license. Now, if you can't find a good image, we do allow the use of images found using regular image search. But in that case, you must credit the owner and link to their site. It doesn't keep the image in your press release from being taken down in case of a complaint, but it will likely eliminate the complaints in the first place. Now, as for the bad news, there will be times when featuring your article will not be possible. This is the hottest option on Newswire, and since there are only so many articles that can be featured every day, the option is available on a first-come, first-served basis. Okay, so at this point you're probably wondering what the cost is. Well, an average featured release will attract the same number of views as 12 regular articles. That means that if you were to spend the time to write 10 press releases, you would still get 8% less views than if you were to feature just one release. Now at Newswire, our priority is to challenge the industry by giving everyone a voice. If you're an independent journalist just starting out, or an established content creator, we push the boundaries by providing better service and by lowering the cost of being heard. With our stats, we could have easily taken our competitors' prices and charged 10 times as much. But we don't charge even 5 times that. Heck, we don't even charge what a comparable service would charge you for a single one press release. You can upgrade this press release for just $79 and watch the boost in traffic the moment your release goes live. That is less than a third of what you'd pay for a single press release with inferior options on most of the popular press release sites today. So go ahead, grab this upgrade while it's still available. Or you can go ahead and hire a writer to write a dozen great press releases at twice the cost and still get the same result. It really is up to you. One thing I can guarantee you though, if you don't, somebody else will.